Number 4 in a series I'm making about kind of just when you're just starting a business. I'm going over these things. I might be bouncing around a little bit because I got a lot in my head. I haven't quite figured out how to structure this in a way that's easy for y'all to follow in a basic set of steps that you can follow. So bear with me on that. But this video is about how much money can a landscape company make, and that's per year. So how much money you can make is directly correlated to how much bullshit you can handle. And what I mean by that is the bigger you get, the more money you make, the more shit and things, more adversity that you're going to have to deal with. This is true. It's a proven wisdom amongst many business owners that the bigger you get, the more stuff you have to deal with. The more problems that you have to solve. And being in a business, when you are the boss, when you are the CEO, I hate that term because it's like we're just these small businesses within our community. We're not these big CEOs, corporate guys. So I don't like using that word, but when you are the owner, you have to learn how to solve lots of problems really fast and how to keep that wheel turning, because it's a wheel. It's a wheel, and when you just start, it's a wheel that doesn't have much weight on it. And what I mean by that is you can spin it fast and it'll start going fast, but then it will slow to a halt very quickly. The bigger you get, the more weights you put on that wheel. And what happens is it's harder to get things moving because you got a lot of people. But once it's moving, that weight keeps that wheel turning longer. Sort of like, so a lot like this fidget spinner. When it has the weights on it, it's a little harder to get turning, but once it goes, it keeps going because you have people there, you have employees, you have systems, you have backup plans, you have redundancy built in to the system, to the company, that when something happens, people can keep it going. If you're sick, if something's wrong, or whatever the case, if one guy calls in sick, you have another guy to cover that shift for the day. So that's the first thing. So how much money can you make in a landscaping company? Well, when you're just starting out, you're a solopreneur, I would say anywhere from $50,000 to $60,000, $70,000. I hear about these guys making $100K, $120K by themselves. I don't really believe it, and it's not that I don't believe it. I don't believe that it is sustainable. So you might be able to make $100K one year, but the next year you're probably going to want to quit the business because you worked so hard and you beat yourself to death that you no longer have any passion, enthusiasm, or even care about the company. You're just ready to, you're done. It's like this thing will beat you to the ground because you're working outside in the heat, and there's multiple factors when you're by yourself. It's just everything's on you. So in my opinion, like 50 grand a year to 70, and 70 is kind of pushing it, in my opinion. When you would have to still be delegating some things, like maybe that's on the routing end of things, like scheduling, routing. Something has to be, handed off to someone. Maybe that's a third party that you're like hiring it off to, or outsourcing it to someone. Other than that, though, I think it'd be very difficult if you were doing it all by yourself. Like in my case, I did it all by myself, and it was tough. Like it was really tough when I was by myself. There were days that I just was like, thinking, why am I doing this? This is not, like, I feel like my talents are being wasted. I'm working so hard just to make 70K. Like, you can make 70K working for a company and not have to think about the business 24/7. So in my opinion, if that's what you're trying to do, it's not worth it unless you really love being outside and doing this job. Then it would be worth it. But if you don't really love it and you're trying to do this because you like it and you have a passion for it and you like business, it's not worth it. Then this is when I would recommend grow this thing into a business. So how much money can a landscape company make when you have 2 or more employees? I think that's when it really gets interesting, because that's when you learn how to truly operate and run a successful company. I know that's not a lot of people. 2-3 people is not, a huge corporation or anything, but it's quite a bit for one person to deal with. So I think once you hit that 2, 3, maybe even 4 people, and you got 2 trucks, so you got 2 trucks on the road, and you say you got 2 guys in each truck, I think that's when it becomes really interesting. The reason I say that is because you as a person have to learn how to manage those people, and you start becoming more of a kind of like, you're like a tactician. Like you learn to strategize. You're more of a planner. Like you're planning things out. You start really looking at your numbers more, because you're like, okay, I got these employees, I got these expenses, how can I keep them working and keep the money flowing and still make a profit? That's when it becomes fun, because I think some people have this wrong, because I see a lot of people on YouTube and they're like, oh guys, I'm going solo next year, I can't handle it, I lost sight of the vision, I have all these employees and they're just beating me to death, and the business is not what I originally thought it would be when I first started it. And it's like, no, like that is not the problem. The problem is that you forgot you're running a business. Like you're not working a job, you're running a business. And it's kind of sad, because they were like right there. They were right on the cusp of making it, and then they backed down. They're like, oh, this is just too much. I'm gonna go back to being a solo guy. That way I don't have to deal with all the employee problems and all that. So, in my opinion, and from being in this for 8 years, go all the way. Go all the way, and if you don't like it, then quit. But don't quit right when you're about to get there. Like, I would rather you just go crazy. If you're starting to hate the business, like if it's starting to get boring and you feel tired and sick of all the problems, just do something crazy. Buy another truck, and get 2 more employees. Instead of, backing down, turn it up and see what happens. I promise you, you'll be like, whoa, this actually made it more interesting, and I'm excited to be here again. So don't be the guy that's like, oh, this is too much, and I should be able to relax more and get my weekends off and all. It's like, dude, you can only relax for so long. I mean, I can barely make it a weekend. Like, I go crazy if I'm not working. I go freaking crazy. So I think that's all BS. I mean, yeah, relax, you're gonna have a stroke, that type of shit. Like, no. And don't listen to your employees, because your employees are like, dude, you work too much. You need to take a vacation. And they're only saying that because they see that you're surpassing them. So they're like, oh, you need to come back down to this level because now you're not cool like us. We can't relate with you anymore. So they want you to kind of dumb yourself down. So yeah, don't listen to your employees. I can't stress that enough. So the reason I'm going through all this stuff here, I want you to understand that how much money you can make in your company is correlated to how much bullshit you can handle. If you can handle all the bullshit I just said, then you can make a lot of money. And I don't want to tell you how much I make. I'll give you a hint, like I'll kind of give you an estimate. So, down here in Florida, it's pretty prime time for this type of business. We're in the Panhandle, so we're in the northern part of Florida, so we do have 4 seasons somewhat. We don't really get snow, but it gets cold enough here where the grass goes dormant. With that said, we work pretty much, I'd say anywhere from 9 to 11 months out of the year. And the reason I say that is some winters are colder than others, and it kind of varies. Like recently, let's say 2017, 2018, the economy has been doing really well, so our business has been doing really well. So we've been working kind of like 11 months out of the year. And I mean, of course, the work slows down right after November. It's like, here's October or September, October, November. It's just like, it drops. And this is a little scary when you're first starting out, because when you don't have a ton of clients, when that winter time hits, you don't have enough work to hold you over. And if you didn't save money during the summer to keep yourself floating during the winter, you're going to sink. And it's going to hurt because you might sink so far down that you're like, I have to get another job now. And it's not really good, because the winter time, that's when we have the opportunity to focus on our business and build it up and do the things we weren't able to do in the busy summer season. So if you have to work a second job, do it. But once you get big enough, just slowly transition. Get out of that. Do this full time. You're going to love it. Alright, anyways, back to how much money you can make. I'm going to give you an estimate. I have 3 employees, plus myself, and I do go in the field still. Not all the time, like my guys are working right now. I'm not in the field. But I do go in the field like 3-4 days a week, and that's because I like it. I have a hard time sitting in front of a computer and making phone calls and all that crap. But most of the times I'm running estimates. Like, I have to keep work coming in, keep the pipeline full, so I'm doing a lot of estimates. But so with 3 guys, including myself, so it's 4, you can make around $240,000. 200, let's say 200,000 to 250,000 per year. That's in the climate that I'm in Florida. I don't know how it works up north. I'm assuming you can do about the same, because you have the snow, and you have snow plowing up there. So 200 to 250,000 I think is pretty reasonable. And that's actually a decent amount of money. And when you think about it, it might not sound like a lot when you have 3 employees. But what's cool is when you have that much going on in your business, you no longer are like, oh, I need this job. Let me drop my price a little bit so we can get this job. No, because you guys you're so busy and you have so many customers that you can be like, I'm only taking these really high profit, high margin jobs. And that's when you can turn that 200 into 250 into 300 and really focus on just making your company efficient. So I think most guys, you should be able to make around that amount of money pretty easily without killing yourself. And in my opinion, that's a whole lot better than making $50,000 to $70,000 working by yourself and having to be in the field Monday through Friday and probably Saturday because it rains a lot during the summer. So you got to work sometimes on the weekend. So in my opinion, not worth it. Build it up, hire people, get the trucks, get the trailers, keep growing, keep growing, keep growing, keep growing, because anything that's not growing, guess what? It's dying. So if you want to keep growing and you want to keep living, grow this thing. Don't be scared. Okay, we're not children anymore. We don't get scared. We're adults. And grow it, man. I'll see you next time.